Hi, Dr. Rick Marks here. It's good to have you, and welcome to another Relate Well moment. You know, education is important, not just in society, but it's been very important to the church as well. We're to go and teach others. We're to mentor. We're to disciple. Discipleship inherently requires teaching, all right? And so education is very important. And if education is so important, you could argue with me all day, but there's a lot of data that points out, why are we so dysfunctional, particularly in the church? We have a head full of knowledge. I mean, let's be honest. Pastors preach, most of them, 3 different sermons a month. All right, it's changing now where they'll preach 5 sermons because they have 5 services. They preach the same sermon 5 times. But, you know, not too distant future, there was a Wednesday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night services in a lot of evangelical churches. And each one was different sermons. So your pastor is studying 3 different things and teaching in 3 different areas. And yet, our high broken rate family rates, our dysfunctional families, what is the disconnect between the educational part of teaching the Bible and people actually living it out? There's a disconnect there. We blame the people, and that's true. It's true, people have an individual choice. Barton, in his book Revolution many years ago, indicated that the fastest growing church movement in the country is the home church, but his study of home church Christians indicated they are more mature in their faith than those in institutional corporate churches. And you go, why? Why is that? I'm not here to argue one way for or against, but I am here to maybe get you to think about a different way to teach. Be it in your church, your organization, in your home, in life in general. One thing that I enjoy getting to do is mentor people. And I'll usually mentor 1 or 2 young men on a regular basis. I enjoy that. It allows me to pour into someone because God put men in my life many years ago who poured into me. They didn't have to. But they chose to because they cared about me. And the Lord puts people in my way that I get to pour into. But I don't just teach them about something. Here's the difference. I teach them what to do different, how to do what was said, and then I support it. And that statement is the Trinity. You go, where is the Trinity in that? Well, let's talk about the educational component first, and then we'll relate that back to the Trinity of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All right? So hang with me. All right, so think of a triangle for a minute, all right? Think of a triangle. And the base of the triangle is the first of the 3 components of education. That is basically information or vision. Information or vision. Vision is giving people a sense of what something's going to look like. It's information. It's telling them what love looks like. It's telling them how communication looks. It's telling them what what love languages look like. It's telling them what respect looks like. You see, most of our education is information transference. Moving information from this brain and importing into that brain and then testing to make sure they got it. Got it? That's information transference. Information transference does not necessarily mean transformation. Or I say this way in my world, information transference does not equal transformation. You can have a head full of knowledge and still be unkind and immature. Got it? So whatever you're teaching isn't having an impact on transformation. Now, most of the educational programs that we have in the church today is basically vision. We tell you about things. We tell you what it looks like and how it came to be and why you're the way you are, why you are the way you are. In other words, we give knowledge and we give insight. But people come to me and go, hey, Rick, I need to know why I'm an alcoholic. They want to learn. They want information. They want me to educate them as to why they are the way they are. And I listen to their reasons and I go, let me ask you a question. Once you know why you are, once you're educated as to why you are the way you are, what difference will that make? And they'll think about that and go, well, I guess none. And I go, well, it will make a difference. He said, they go, what is that? I go, when you're in your bar drinking, you can tell everybody why you're doing it now. You see, information transference is a piece of education. It's not the whole of it. It's not the whole of it. let me give you an example. If you go down to the driver's license office, all right, you're going to get a driver's license or renewal, and for whatever reason they say, hey, you've got to take the test again. Now, for your very first time, if you remember, you had to go down and take a written test. I assume that they do it online now, but back in my day, it was a written test, right? And so you go and you take this written test, and what they're actually testing is, do you know how to drive and do you know the rules of the road? That's what they're testing. And let's say that you got 100 on the written exam for your driver's license. Your state Department of Transportation License Division will be impressed with you, I am sure. They're like, man, hardly anybody gets 100 on these tests. And they'll be impressed. Here's your license. No, it doesn't work that way. Just because you get 100 on the exam, all they know now is that you know the rules of the road, you know how to drive. But you don't get a license. Why? Simple. They don't know that you can do what you know. I'm going to say that again. They don't know that you can do what you know. So now you got to go outside and get in the car, and you got to show me you can do what you know. In other words, knowledge is insufficient if you don't have the skills to do it. So what they're actually measuring now is, do you have the skills? And this is the breakdown. We teach people all day about forgiving, but don't give them the skills to forgive. We teach them about communication. We don't teach them the skills for that. We teach them about love. We don't teach them how to be loving. We teach them about how to have a good marriage, but they don't have the skills for a good marriage. And if people do not know how to do it, they don't know how. Why? Because they don't know what they don't know. And that's reality. You don't know what you don't know. In our education system, it's only focused on the base of the triangle, vision. But if you're drawing this out on a piece of paper, you'd have this isosceles goes this way. This one is the skills. This is the second part. Don't just give me vision and information. Teach me how. Teach me how. Now we got a triangle building now. Teach me how to do what you know. You see, people need to know how to do it, what to do. Give me the skills. Give me the tools so that I can not just know how, I have the ability to be loving. So I have the ability to communicate well. So I have the ability to be tender. So I have the ability to be slow to anger, quick to hear, and slow to speak. I don't have the ability because I don't know how. But you keep telling me to be it. I don't know how. It's not in their knowledge bank yet. And we're really good at telling people, well, you just do this and just do that. And you leave them in frustration because they don't know how to do it yet. Most people never saw it. It was never modeled for them. Skills, the second part of the educational triangle, that's the Trinitarian triangle I'm trying to help you with. Skills, let me say it to you this way, operationalize the gospel. Knowing how operationalizes the gospel message. In other words, don't just go out and say the message, go and live it out, go do it, because that makes the gospel message operationally effective. It tells me what to do. It teaches me how to be slow to anger, quick to hear, and slow to speak. It teaches me how to be how to trust when I'm afraid. It teaches me how to be respectful, how to be comforting, how to be supportive. Most people don't know. Most people don't even know how to bond. They never had it. I didn't. And when I learned this as in my mid to late 20s, it came to realization I had no healthy emotional attachments. None. I mean, I loved my brother Don a lot. I was disconnected from my little brother. I was disconnected from my sister. And I didn't know how to bond well. I mean, my brother Don was probably the closest connection I ever had. A lot of factors for that. We were 1 year and 1 day apart in age, and we hung out a lot with each other. I never bonded with my stepmother. I was raised to hate my biological mother and disregard my stepfather, and I never could bond with my dad. And then you're telling me I have to bond well? I didn't know how. I had to learn it. People had to teach me how to do it because I didn't know. It wasn't in my knowledge base. And so, as we're putting together our triangle, let me draw this out for you. First, we've got vision, right? Then we've got skills. Skills operationalize the gospel. Now, vision, I tell you about it, tell you what it looks like, it's insight, it's knowledge, information. Now, you've got the skills to do it because we've taught you how to do it. Take a deep breath, communicate this way, say it this way, don't do it that way, all right? Take a deep breath, do this. Regulate that part of your brain so that you can be slow to anger. There you go. Now you got it. Now, all right, now you're doing it. What's the effect like? See? That's skills. You mentor, disciple people, and teach them how to do it. Jesus said this in John chapter 14 when he mentioned that he and the Father one, and one of the disciples said, well, show us the Father. And Jesus basically says, Rick Mark's translation, guys, how long have I been with you? How can you ask, show me the Father? Because if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Listen to what Jesus says. For whatever you've seen the Son do, skills, tools, behavior, whatever you've seen me do, I learned it from my Father. In other words, the Father taught the Son how to do it, and then the Son was down here for 3 years teaching disciples how to do it. So if you want to know who the Father is, look at Jesus, because Jesus, whatever he did, was the Father, and he learned it from his dad. Education, discipleship, mentoring, teaching skills. Now, just because you got insight, knowledge, information, now you know what to do. Let's be honest. A lot of us don't follow through, do we? We need encouragement. We become lackadaisical. We may become frustrated. You might even get a sense of, I'm going to fail. And so you pull away. So the last part of the triangle is support. You've got to come alongside and support the person in the difference and what to do different. We need the one another's. We need to be encouraged and supported, Galatians 6:2. We need to have people come alongside us and help us do it so whatever we've learned to do different becomes a habit, a new way of being. Support indicates relationship. To support someone means we've got to have a relationship with that person. It's about being teachable and getting input. It's a teacher-mentor relationship. It's a support group. Why? Because all of that is to support you in the new way of doing based on what you've learned. And there it is. There it is. Vision, skills, and support. Kind of drew it out here for you. I'll put it behind my head. There it is. Vision, skills, and support. Right there. That's a Trinitarian model. You go, what do you mean a Trinitarian model? Well, actually, let's look at vision, skills, and support in the light of the Trinity. Who teaches us about love? It was God the Father himself. It was God the Father himself. Old Testament, he's teaching about love. He's teaching about patience. He's teaching about kindness. He's teaching how to deal with your enemy. All throughout the Old Testament, God is love. God is love. God is love. You see, it is God the Father that gives us the vision what love looks like. It is God the Father who informs us as to what love is and should be. But the Father knew that we weren't going to do it well if we didn't see it, if we didn't experience it in a way where someone was teaching us it. In other words, the prophets could tell you about what God was seeing and they could give you the insight of God. But let's be honest, some of the great leaders didn't live it out themselves really, really well. But they could give us the vision, right? And so, the Father part of the Trinity is the vision part of the triangle. But the Father, who is the vision part of the triangle, also knew that we would need to be informed as to how to do it. If you've seen me, you've seen my Father. For whatever you've seen me do, think skills, I learned from my dad. So the skills part of the Trinitarian educational triangle is Jesus. Jesus came and actually lived before us, the Father's heart. He came and lived out Abba Daddy's heart towards us. What you see me do, you've seen because I learned it from my dad. So Jesus actually modeled for us the skills of what the Father was teaching. Turn the other cheek. All of that. The 1 Corinthians, all of that Jesus lived and did. He modeled it for us. But he also knew, just because he came, he also knew he was going back home to be with his dad. And he knew that though he lived out before us what it looked like, the disciples, he knew that they were going to need a support system. That they were going to have to be supported in the change. Because we're not meant to live life alone. Genesis 2:18, because you can be married alone. That aloneness has to do with relationship. No human can live without relationship. We were created for it. We're not created for loneliness. But he also knew that if we want to transform, we need the one another's. We need to be encouraged, comforted, supported, prayed with, all of that. Mourn with those that mourn. We need all of that in order to support us in the changes and become mature in love. So what do? He sent the Holy Spirit, the third part of the Trinity. The Holy Spirit is the support part of the educational process. It is the Holy Spirit, it is Father Spirit, the Holy Spirit, communing in our spirit. But he didn't just leave us that. He also knew that we needed others. So he left the church. And so God, Father, Son's skills, Father's vision, and the support area of the Trinitarian educational triangle is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit encourages us, supports us. And if God has to use a donkey again, he'll do it because he will support you. He will do it. He gave us families to be supportive. He gave us the church to be supportive. The Lord will support you. The Holy Spirit is there to support you. And when no one else is around, he put his Spirit in you. Why? To support you, to encourage you, to comfort you. All those things that make us go, I can do this. I can do this. I'm not alone. And there it is. The vision part is God the Father. The skills part is the Son. And the support part is the Holy Spirit. A Trinitarian approach to education. Don't just teach people about the Bible. Teach them how to do it. Many years ago, I was teaching this to a group of pastors, and I was really encouraged by this pastor's vulnerability. He said, Rick, I'll be honest, most time what I preach, I wouldn't know how to do it. And think about what he just said. I wouldn't know how to do it. And I always believe in goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. And goodwill and respect will still speak the truth. And I said, may I share a thought with you? And they would give input without permission. And he said, sure. I said, I'm going to speak this thought to everybody. If what he's saying is true, and that's true for a lot of us, then we must understand we're irrelevant. In reality, we're irrelevant to people who need help. Because if you can't teach them how to do something, you're not relevant to them. So send them the people who are relevant. We're not going to know how to do plumbing. I'm not. I don't want it. I don't want the skill sets. But I believe every Christian should have the skills for love, the skills for patience, the skills for kindness, the skills to be slow to anger, the skills to speak the truth in love. Because all of those are fundamental to love. So, I'm advocating that from this day forward, why don't we have a Trinitarian approach to education? Father's the vision, the Son is the skills, and then we support the skills that the Father gives us a vision for. He uses the Holy Spirit, and He'll use the church. And if He needs you to use a donkey, He will. Because He will support you. It's Dr. Rick Marks, and thanks for being a part of this Relate Well moment.